Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Football Inc. See, yesterday you were accusing us of being a little bit late. Couple of days prior, we gave you a couple of minutes for free. Today, we are bang on. No one's getting anything. We're getting it straight on the dot. 6 p.m. and here we are. I hope you're all happy and healthy doing the things you love with those you love to do them with. I'm here with Johnny H3232. Guys, please smash the like button like it's never been smashed before. To new levels of smashiness. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell and drop a comment. Let us know your thoughts throughout the show on exactly what your takes are on our takes on everything that's going on in the world and European football around transfer news, views, and clues. We got a good one for you today. Johnny, how are you, buddy? How are you?
I'm very well. Just not to forget our new followers on audio. If you're listening on Apple, we've got all of our previous pods have dropped now. So please drop in there. If you're listening on audio, please just scroll down and you'll see the 5-star review there. If you could give us a 5-star review and just drop a small comment, any comment will do, just to help that algorithm go, because that's brand new. And we need all the help we can get, but we're going there. But thanks very much for everybody. Yeah, no, sun's shining, Sean, and I think we're all waiting for the bombers, aren't we? I think Arsenal fans are waiting for the Goalkeeper bomber, Spurs fans waiting for the Kudus bomber, Newcastle waiting for any bomber, and then Man United just hoping for any player to leave ASAP. Yeah.
I think they'll take a kidnapping at this stage. Like they just need something. They need something to move in their squad list so they can get some things going. In fact, let's start right there, mate. Rumours out this morning that Bryan Mbeumo might not be going to United after all. I've been seeing this. People in the Manchester United fan channels are going into early premature meltdown a little bit here at this one, because Manchester United set an unofficial but internal time limit, according to reports, that if the deal hadn't been done by the 7th of July, i.e. today, then they were going to walk away and move on to new targets. And you have to ask the question of why they would set that deadline if they themselves haven't gone back to Brentford with a renewed bid, because Brentford rejected their last bid. They haven't gone back. So they set themselves a deadline, but they haven't acted on the new information. At the same time, it seems like them hesitating, shit will get off the pot kind of mentality. A couple other players they were looking at seemingly have gone into different directions and certainly prioritized different moves. Brentford now are starting to think, according to reports that I've seen, are starting to think that they don't want to sell him anyway because they're not sure anymore about what's going on with a few other moves that they were looking at. And also, I think they're looking over their shoulder and worried a little bit about the efforts that are being made by the three teams that are coming up. And as you said, Johnny, and I agreed with you last week when you said it, Brentford are one of those teams that might get sucked in. Like new manager, new coaches, a lot of change, maybe losing Visser, maybe losing Sade, already lost Norgard. Rico Henry can't get fit. Flecken's gone. If Mbeumo goes as well, too much change can equal catastrophe. And so maybe Manchester United's dilly-dallying is going to cost them not only Mbeumo, but they've certainly lost out on Gyökeres, and maybe one or two other targets are also going in other directions. Quite a wild turn of events, bud.
Yeah, no, listen, I think Bournemouth have put the skids on now, put the brakes on, shall I say, on any more players leaving. We had rumours of Zabani going to PSG. We had Semenya linked to Spurs and other clubs. We had Kluivert linked to by Leverkusen. I think, they feel that they've sold enough players now. Unless someone comes in for a crazy, crazy bid, they're not going to sell them because they don't want to put themselves in the mess either. Is this another... Look, there's a lot of game playing here. Man United have given a deadline. They put a big deadline. We're the big club. Brentford is a small club. We're going to try and bully them, right?
Or expect Mbeumo to engineer something.
Yeah, and just maybe put in a transfer request or drop, Brentford to drop their pricing, which I don't see that's happening. Or maybe, Man United are actually looking for another option. But does this mean that Spurs suddenly would be interested in Mbeumo?
Well, I had this conversation with myself as I usually do. First sign of madness, unless you're talking to a camera. For me, I said, look, as much as the story was out there that Tottenham and apparently Daniel Levy's been put on red alert. This is what Caught Offside and Give Me Sport was saying this morning, and the boot room as well, who I've come to admire a little bit. The boot room, I quite like Graham Bailey's and Jamie Brown stuff.
Yeah,
but they've said that Tottenham might be on red alert. I'm not sure it makes that much sense. That if you're going to get Kudus, if you've gone out for Kudus, that's your guy. Even though he's versatile, I'd say primarily he's better on the right. Even though actually, as you said the other day, Johnny, his better goal scoring numbers were off the left last season.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if Sonny is staying and Tottenham have gone for Kudus. The only way I could think you can make a claim for an Mbeumo is if you can absolutely get rid of Solomon, but also I think you'd need to get rid of Richarlison as well, and then you'd probably reuse Mbeumo more as like as a second forward or an inside forward that can play off the right, but in that second striker spot. I don't really see Tottenham going for both of them, but I'd be over the moon if you could. I'd love to see us work it in there. It would absolutely transform our forward line.
I think, from an age point of view, Levy doesn't like to spend big money on a player. I mean, look, Waymo for me, more end product, delivered. I'm looking at Kudus. I mean, I got into trouble yesterday when I pointed out, he'd only scored five goals and 3 assists, and everyone said, well, it was a very, very poor West Ham team. It didn't stop Jared Bowen, making 8 assists and double figures in goals. So, I'm not going to listen to that one. Fun enough, I spoke to some West Ham fans last night who said, and he said that on his day can be fantastic, but too many times he couldn't be asked to track back. His attitude was a bit hit and miss. Sometimes, he gave the ball away cheap. Didn't pick his head up on numerous occasions, hence the reason why he only got 3 assists. Look, whether you want to say that's bitterness or not, I saw that laughable campaign. I don't know if any of you have seen it.
Change for Tottenham or change for West Ham type of thing.
Change for West Ham. Change for West Ham. Yeah. We should block this. If West Ham sell Kudus,
they're really salty, aren't they? West Ham fans are really. There's a West Ham fan who comes in here. I'd love to if he's in the house. Let us know.
They want to boycott. They want, if this deal goes ahead, they want fans to boycott the stadium and go against the whole management and chairman and all the rest of it. It's a signing. I mean, yes, we haven't bought a player from West Ham in 14 years. There's obviously a reason behind it, but this is the first one they've actually looked at. The fact that probably Kudus played a little while in Denmark, maybe that's the reason why Frank likes him. I don't know. But listen, let's just see what happens. I personally think it's just a bit of posturing. And I think Manchester United at some point, as soon as they get the money, will get Mbeumo. I think they will. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't go there.
Yeah, it's just I think the only fan base that are probably more frustrated with their own right now. Well, until yesterday, it was Arsenal, right? But then as soon as Arsenal it's so funny watching the Arsenal fans, even the ones that have their content where they lean very much towards, the club's always terrible, everything's wrong, woe is us, all that stuff. Even they were really struggling to find reasons to not be happy yesterday. Signing, they got their guy, mate. And look, if they can get Eze as well, then it's going to be a massive transformation for Arsenal. But there is news out. I think you sent it to me, didn't you, a minute ago, Johnny, about that Palace don't want to sell.
Yeah.
Do you want to read it out, mate?
Yeah. So basically,
I've got it. If you haven't got it up,
yeah, no, I've got it. So Eberechi Eze. This is according to James Samvandra from Sky Sports News. Eberechi Eze is another player that Arsenal have interested in this window, but Palace do not want to sell their best player amid the uncertainty about what European competition they will be in next season. He does have a release clause in his contract, around 60 million, that could rise to 68 million, but he's set to be one player who is of interest to several Champions League clubs. I mean, I'm not quite understanding why them being in the Champions League or not being in the Champions League should make any difference to Crystal Palace, because the money's coming in. If that's the buyout, if the buyout is met, then at the end of the day, that's it. You know, I mean, it shouldn't matter. You want to get this deal. If Eze's going to go, whether it's to Arsenal, Spurs, Man City, or wherever he's going to go, if he does go, he could easily go to Manchester United. How do we know? But if he does go, they want to get that deal done early so they can reinvest that money in players for his position. Simple as that. They don't want this deal being dragged out to the 30th of August, say, for example.
There's no chance that Crystal Palace could get in any kind of predicament, could they? They're very much a team that's on the up under Oliver Glasner. They're not going to get sucked into anything next year.
Listen, look, he's a game changer, Eze. You know, we saw at the beginning of the season when he, wasn't really on form, had a bit of a niggly injury. They didn't start very well. In fact, I think by the time Spurs played them away from home, they hadn't won a single game that season.
That's right.
And then
we were their catalyst, weren't we?
We were their catalyst to set them on their way. And they never looked back really. But he did just get better and better as the season went on, and I think he would be a big miss. But listen, Oliver Glasner is a really, really good coach, as we said before. Look what he's done with Mateta, who couldn't hit a barn door. Now he's firing. What he's done with Ismail Sarr, fantastic. And as we said before, get rid of Anderson and bringing in Lacroix from Wolfsburg, and he looked like he'd been there all season.
Yeah, he fitted in very nicely.
He's done very, very well there. He's an extremely good coach. I wouldn't have complained if Spurs had got him as our coach, although I was very, very happy with Thomas Frank. But look, I think Palace know what they're doing. They've got a monster centre-back lined up if Mark Gay leaves for Liverpool. I think we're going to hear more on that one. I think Liverpool have got other things to worry themselves with at the moment, and it's a massive distraction for everyone in the Liverpool hierarchy and the Liverpool players.
Difficult to do business if you're in a period of mourning, which I'm guessing a lot of those people are. It's going to be fascinating to see how that one works out. I want to move the stories towards the midfield section of the pitch, mate, because there's a lot of stories out today that are really sort of tantalising in the way that it could go. First and foremost, we've seen that Douglas Luiz essentially has been offered to Premier League clubs. Anyone who wants him, like Juventus have basically made their mind they want to get rid. Obviously, he was offered to Manchester United in a bid to try to persuade them to do with the Jadon Sancho thing. That doesn't look like it's moving at this point because it doesn't suit United. United need that money to go and get things like that. So they probably wouldn't mind doing it, but they don't. It's first thing is first kind of thing for them.
Swapping away.
Tottenham been offered it.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Say that again.
Yeah, I was going to say they don't want to swap a wage for a wage. They're trying to get his wages off the books, and they're not.
And they need to get money in so they can close out at least one deal before they can move on. And they're not seemingly getting any wiggle room with him or with Rashford or with Casemiro or with Anthony. There's just it's a massive bottleneck on their intentions. And as I say, it might prove to be really problematic for Manchester United because I don't think there's never going to the well is never going to be dry. There's always talent out there, especially in where they're looking to improve. There's always talent out there, but when preseason training has started essentially, and they've still got Onana, and they want to get someone else in, and he's like probably their third. Like fixing the goalkeeping spot is probably third in their priority list of new players coming in, but they can't do any of it until they get one, two, three of those players out the door. So yeah, correct. Douglas Luiz coming in on a swap deal doesn't really help their situation because they need to get money because the midfielder's not the midfielder's probably bottom of their priority list right now. So it's a very strange one. But there is a couple of Douglas Luiz has been offered to everyone, including to Tottenham. So Tottenham Hotspur have been offered. Tottenham Hotspur are looking at this option apparently, according to TBR, that obviously Juventus are looking at Bissouma, and Tottenham might be interested in Douglas Luiz.
That's a deal that could happen.
That is a deal that could happen, but I'm sort of sitting there going, what's going on? I mean, I don't follow Serie A that closely, mate, during the season to understand why it is that someone would fall so far down the pecking order that they would be interested in replacing Douglas Luiz with a Bissouma. Don't get me wrong, Bissouma's a good player on his day.
Don't mess around in Italy. Look, they're trying to get rid of Vlahovic, right? Cancelling his contract. This is a player they paid, 70-odd million euros for from Fiorentina. They're trying to cancel his contract. They don't mess around. The turnover in players. This is a club that got rid of Bentancur and Kulu, right, without a thought. So, I wouldn't read too much into it. They've got a lot of players. But, he hasn't had a good season. He didn't do well. But, some players just aren't suited to the league. What we do know is that he was very, very useful in the Premier League. That's all you can say. And for 25 million, it's not a monster mistake for whoever ends up buying him.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Sorry, just quickly. Wobo Jog. Are you talking about Nico O'Reilly? Is that who you're talking about? The Manchester City player? Or are you talking about Nico Gonzalez?
So we're talking, if those are listening on audio, we're written to a conversation in the chat. Sean, how is your club not all over the City Nico transfer? Is beyond me.
I think he's talking about Nico. Yeah, the DM. Yeah. So Nico Gonzalez. Yeah.
Gonzalez.
Yeah, he's a really good player. We I don't know, to be honest. Tottenham don't deal with Manchester City, mate. So I think that whole ship has sailed ever since. He didn't answer the phone regarding Harry Kane, did he? So
listen, look, at the end of the day, City just buy from us. City buy from everybody. We're not buyers at this stage.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting one. I would love to see Douglas Luiz. I mean, there's a bunch of sixes out there that, like, again, it's not one of those positions that I think you have to necessarily panic because I think that there's a dearth of talent. There's loads and loads and loads of players out there that can do a little bit of a different flavour of a six all the time. And I think that I'm not sure that Tottenham know yet what version of a six that they need. I think all of us were saying under an Ange Postecoglou system, Polinia would have been the perfect six, just to sit there, protect, to marshal, to destroy, to get the ball back, to hand it over to someone else who can do more with it. But in a Thomas Frank system with overlapping fullbacks rather than ones that cut in, with a slightly deeper line, if you're still going to do a 4-3-3, I'm not sure, or a 4-2-3-1 rather, I'm not sure that you need a guy in there who can just win the ball back but can't really progress the ball either through his own dribbles or through passing. I think we need to wait and see where those stories go. I've got a few ideas. I mean, personally, I think that some of the players at Tottenham have been linked with that are centre backs that can actually play as sixes. I think Coney de Winter is a really interesting player that could sort of marshal in that position.
Yao Gomez hasn't been mentioned either. Wolves one person who's a six and is extending their contract is Idris Gueye, who was looking to leave. They've now extended his contract for another year. He's definitely going to serve well for Everton. He's so a David Moyes type of player, absolute terrier. Yes, he's getting on a bit, but he can still offer a lot.
How old is Yao Gomez now? He's not that old, is he?
Not Yao Gomez. I'm talking about Idris Gueye.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Idris Gueye. Yeah, great.
Yao Gomez is still young. Gomez is still young, but he's a six that hasn't seemed to have jumped on anyone's radar yet. He was doing very well. But Idris Gueye, good news for Everton fans that he's signed on, because there were rumours. Well, I think he was offered deals in Saudi as well. But good on him for prioritising his football over the money.
Yeah, 100%. I want to also bring in a story about Orkun Koku, mate, the Benfica Turkish midfielder. Yeah. He's been linked. And we're going to come to that super chat in a minute. Thank you, Feral Ferret. Orkun Koku's been again offered around. He's really unhappy at Benfica, apparently. Doesn't want to play, doesn't want to go back to pre-season training. Lots and lots of clubs are looking at this guy. Tottenham apparently are one of them, but United are looking at him. Newcastle are looking at him. He is an absolute cracking player, mate. Plays as an 8, can play as a 10. I mean, the guy's got an absolute wand of a shot on him. The way that he can pick out a corner from 20 yards. Most of his goals are outside the box. Really interesting, tough midfielder. Tenacious, good technically. balanced, strong, little bit of a John McGinn kind of sort of nastiness to him as well, but also got that wand when he does progress the ball. I think he'd look so good in the Premier League. I really do. I think he's one of those players. But Benfica are notoriously difficult to deal with. They always get their money. They make a fortune out of player trading, and he doesn't want to go. Do you want? I mean, we're not talking about Tottenham here. Where do you think he would fit? What sort of clubs do you think he would necessarily be a good vibe for?
Listen, the thing is, they price their players so highly. You know, you're ruling out half the interested parties, and unless they have a realistic pricing structure on these players, look, you know, Sporting Lisbon have an asset which is banging in the goals left, right, and centre, and they're entitled to put on the price that they wanted for Gyökeres, but the price that they're going to want for this guy Benfica is madness, well over the odds, I think, and I think less likely to go unless they cough up. And listen, there's enough trouble trying to do deals between Premier League clubs right at the moment, trying to agree pricing. Pricing is, what is the right price for Gyökeres right now? I mean,
do we know what Arsenal have paid for him?
No. They've agreed personal terms, but they haven't agreed pricing. And Arsenal are going about it in reverse order, trying to unsell. Look, the player wants to come to us. He only wants to come to us. We're not paying your 70 million. We'll give you 50, right? And like, why should Sporting Lisbon accept 50, 55 million?
Yeah.
He's better than Kudus. He's better than some of the transfers. He's better than Anthony Elanga. So I think Arsenal have got to pay up. But let's see what happens. Listen, the deal's going to get done. It's just how much it's going to cost. And we also got the same that Arsenal are doing with Noni, where they've agreed personal terms, but there's no agreement as such for the price. I mean, they paid 32 million, I think, for Noni.
Yep.
What are they going to sell him for? 40, 50?
How long ago did they sign Madueke? Was it 2 years ago or was it last year?
2 years. So amortization, right?
They've amortized 40% of that price down.
Is it as much as 40% in the 2 years?
Well, if it was on a 5-year deal, then it's amortized 40%. Yeah. 2 years or 2 years of the 5. So he's probably worth like 25 million on their books. So if they can double their money, it's a 25 million pound swing.
Yeah. Gyökeres for me is worth 70 million all day long, judging by the prices. I mean, there are some clubs, like Newcastle, for example, who were desperate to try and get João Pedro now that Callum Wilson has finally left the club. But they couldn't get anywhere. And guess who they've been linked with, Sean?
Go on.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Yesterday was Manchester United. Today it's Newcastle. All right. I mean, geez.
Come on, this guy. I mean, he's not a Premier League striker, is he?
Not anymore.
Go to Leeds. Go to Burnley. Come on, go and scrap it out. He's not going to help anybody out at that level. Does the Newcastle United, Man United, and Tottenham really? Is this really the level? Am I blind, or is the rest of football blind? The guy is absolutely. He's a joke. He's a joke of a Premier League striker.
Injuries have. Listen, early days he was banging them in, and everyone was talking about him being the next big thing. Now he's yesterday's news. And this is why sometimes you get sucked into playing big money for a name that turns out to be a disaster. There were so many players, so many clubs, should I say, linked to buying Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Can you imagine if they'd actually coughed up? Everton was standing their ground. We don't want to sell our prized asset. They bloody wish they had sold him now. He's still only 28 years of age, and they've got no interest.
How many goals has he got in the last 2 years, Johnny? I've got to look this up.
He's been injured for about the last 3 years, hasn't he? He's come back. He plays a couple of games.
I just think I've thought of him as such a bad player for so long that I haven't even really paid attention. Let's have a look. He moved from Sheffield United to Everton in 2016-17 for 1.8 million. So he's been at Everton for 8 years, 9 years?
9 years, 8, 9 years. Since
9 years, right? And he has got, how do I see this? Stats. All seasons. At Everton in 9 years, he has got 71 goals in 273 appearances.
Yeah, if you look at
one
his
in every 4 goals, basically, give or take.
Look at his early doors games. His early part of his career, and it just tapered off. And this is the pitfall sometimes when you spend big money on strikers, and it doesn't happen for them. It's happens to many clubs.
He got 3 goals in 26 games last season in the Premier League.
That's what I'm saying.
The year before, he got 7 in 32 in the Premier League.
It's enough for him to be linked yesterday with Manchester United and today. Well, because at the end of the day, he's a striker they can throw in, pad out the team, and play the odd game, I guess. And try and get him fit. But
the year before, he got 2 goals in 7 because he has got. You're right. He's got wild injury problems, hasn't he? Hamstrings. Yeah.
Terrible injury problems.
Come I'm being horrendously harsh, but if he ended up at Tottenham, just to be clear, Montana Spurs, I don't think I said I'd quit the game. I think I said if he does come to Tottenham, I'd be going 100% Levy out. So yeah, I'm fingers crossed that he goes to Newcastle United.
So why Idrissa Gueye? So whilst Idrissa Gueye signed a 1+1. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin has left. Another player looking who's signed an extension on the cheap for them, Barcelona, is Szczesny, the keeper. He signed a contract to at least 2027.
Hey, hasn't he had a good career at Szczesny?
Oh my God! He used to get such a slagging at Arsenal.
Oh, he's at Arsenal, yeah. I didn't think he was very good, but he went off to Italy, didn't he? And didn't he play? Was it for?
He's gone to Arsenal, Juventus, Barcelona. I mean, Mark Stegen. There's all this controversy about what's going on with him now. Barcelona are trying to get him out, but they owe him money, and that he won't leave unless they pay it all up. And we all know about Barcelona's financial problems. So maybe. Just re-signing Szczesny on a cheap contract probably over the last, because they talked him out of retirement. Don't forget, he didn't actually retire. Yeah, and now they talked him in again. For
played for the best team in Italy, or at least one of them, one of the best teams in Spain, and one of the best teams in England. And you would never. I don't think anybody anywhere in the history of football fandom would ever put Szczesny in the top 10 goalkeepers in the last 20 years.
But he is a very good keeper, and you don't play for those clubs unless you are. And as I say, he's gone for retirement, coming out playing a year. Now he's signed a 2-year contract. They must have made it worth his while, for sure. Because for Barcelona now, they cannot find the money for an actual transfer fee for a goalkeeper. So this is the next best thing. Let's be honest.
He won't let them down. He won't let them down. He's one of those guys, isn't he? He's just one of those. I don't have any love for him because he was an Arsenal guy, but I admire and respect the chops on him for sure. Couple of super chats, guys. Thank you so much. Very nice of you people. Love you all. Feral Ferret saying, "Do you think Levy will get the Kudus if he gets the Kudus?" What do you think, Johnny? Is that a good one? Will Daniel Levy finally get a little bit of pat on the back, or is it?
I think he would have got Kudus. Had he signed Eze, I think, fans will be happy. Listen, there are some. Look, the thing
you're
is,
not mad about Kudus, are you? I can tell you're not sign up on it.
Look, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. I've seen a lot of negative stuff. I don't want to see a guy's head dropping down. I don't want to see a guy who doesn't want to track back. I don't want to see a guy who doesn't lift his head up when he's crossing the ball. Hence the reason why he only got 3 assists last season. Look, he's gone from signing of the season, according to Gary Neville in the first season, young signing of the season, to a poor second season. And like I said earlier, I don't want to repeat myself, but, people say, oh, yeah, but he's playing for a West Ham team. He's only got 5 goals, 3 assists because it was poor and they were poor. And then you look on the other side of the pitch and Jared Bowen's got double figures and 8 assists, right? You can't level that at him. I just think Eze was more universal with the fan base. Kudus, again, is more split. Some are very happy and some are right? I'm not either way. If it was our only major signing of the summer transfer window,
it'd be disappointing.
I would not be very happy.
I agree.
I
agree. But I would say I think he walks into our first team right now as probably our most dangerous player. I'm not sure he's the most creative player. I'm not sure he's our best player. I wouldn't even be sure if he's our most valuable player, but I think he'd be our most dangerous player, the sort of player that can get you something out of nothing. And him at his best, he's a frightening prospect to defend against. So.
Where do you think backdoor Johnson's? Where do you think that'll put backdoor Johnson? Do you think he'll come more inside? It'll be interesting to see what he does because look, he did look at him to sign him while he had Mbeumo. Yeah. You know, so he did have a vision of having Mbeumo and Johnson in the same team. Maybe he will be looking at playing him like he did at Forest, but we shall see. Anyway, let's move on to what other ones have you got, Sean?
Another super chat first. Big up, Blaney boy. Good to see you, mate. Thanks, mate. Thank you so much for your ongoing generosity, mate. We love you, buddy. I'm calling it now. Callum Wilson is available on a free. He will end up at United.
Listen,
I was wondering why there was all these comments about Callum Johnson in the chat here. Everyone else sort of got ahead of the super chat. Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson is totally finished. Nowhere near even DCL right now. Sadly, Callum Wilson can be hired to come and polish Richie's Europa League medal.
I mean, look, I just think that, you know, these are players right there. I mean, listen, let's make no bones about it. Callum Wilson must be, 32 right now?
He's older, isn't he? Is he
32, 33. Listen, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is only 28. I mean, you know, he should be in the prime. He should be in the prime now, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Just shows you injuries can absolutely destroy you. I hope Musiala, after that terrible injury that he suffered in the World Cup, comes back because that looked a nasty ankle injury. But no.
Yeah, and apparently, according to the TBR, good luck to him, but apparently TBR said that Bayern Munich picked up the phone immediately and tried to get into Kudus' head and said, come to, would you be interested in coming to Bayern? And apparently Kudus said, nope, I'm committed to going to Tottenham. So,
you know why, though? You know why he couldn't go? Because he didn't have his papers. Your papers. He's lost his papers, so there's no chance of him going, unfortunately.
Never a stream without an accent.
No, I'll tell you one thing for sure.
Where are your papers?
I'll tell you who's doing a lot of business right now is Watford. They look like they're having a little bash at trying to get back into the Premier League. Watford in talks to sign Montpellier winger Mama. Does your mama know? He's Othami Mama is a Moroccan under-20 international.
Where's he coming from?
Dino Pozzo has signalled his intent to get the club back. Here we are, get the club back to the Premier League with 5 signings already made in this transfer window. Sky Sports understands that the club are looking to make even more additions, up to 3. And we revealed last week that the club are already close to concluding a 4.3 million deal for Mets forward Papa Diallo. So, like I said, keep your eye on
Papa. Sorry, was that Watford are going for Mama and Papa Diallo?
Mama and Papa are going to be in the same team. Remember Mamas and Papas?
That is amazing. Someone's having a joke. Someone's on my Scout.
They're going to have Mama and Papa. There used to be a kid.
Wasn't there a guy called Bebe?
Baby. Babby. They got Mama, Papa, and Bebe. I think just so keep your eye out.
Go and get Son as well.
Go get Son. Son, you can have Son.
It's a real family club, this one. Real family unit, this team.
Keep your eye out for Watford. You know, we've been talking a lot in the last few days about the efforts being made by Sunderland, Leeds, and Burnley to invest, you know, in the right type of players to give them half a chance to stay in the league. None of us want to see a repetition of last season where the bottom 3 were just almost cast adrift early doors and never really looked like they were going to make it back. So hopefully they're investing and Watford are investing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who hasn't invested a lot just yet, which I'm kind of surprised. I think it's going to happen, is Wrexham. I'm sure we're going to be talking about them at some stage.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, they're on there. They're trying to do a 4 for, aren't they? 4 out of 4 promotions back to back, or is it 3?
Yeah, 4-4-4. He's 5. No, He's 5'5", 4'4", so 4'4".
Here's an interesting one. We were talking yesterday about Chelsea's need to sell some players. I think it was the day before, actually. We got up with Chelsea's squad and said who can leave, and we called this guy out because he's clearly surplus to requirements. Villarreal have contacted Axel Disasi, the Disasista class that he is, and negotiations are underway. Newcastle, Foxy, your boys, and some Italian teams are also keeping an eye on the situation, on the sitch. Chelsea want 30 million euros for the centre-back. This guy is an absolute bozo. How are they going to get 30 million for him? He's so bad.
Listen, look, I remember there was lots of clubs at the death. I mean, Chelsea have only just bought him. They only bought him in the January transfer window, did they not?
Disasi?
Yeah.
No, he came.
Oh, that's yes. Sorry, that's the.
Disasi came before, but he's terrible. He's such a bad player. He's a big, strong guy, but he can't pass the ball. When he runs out, he runs into trouble. I think he was guilty for, like, whenever I saw him played, I've always thought the guy's just a bozo. I don't know who would pay 30 million for him. Maybe the Premier League's just the wrong speed for him. I don't know, but
Tottenham,
I think Tottenham were actually linked with him at one point, mate. And I was like,
what I'm saying. When you look at someone like Diaz, right, for £30 million, and then you look at someone like what do you call it, Scalvini.
Yeah,
they paid £45 million for him in 2023.
Yeah,
and Villa paid six. Sorry, that's where I got confused. Aston Villa loaned him.
That's right.
For a £6 million loan fee. That went really well.
Yeah.
The loan is back, so he's back now. So Chelsea are going to try and get rid of him. And João Felix is another one they've got to try and get rid of. His loan's come to an end. I think Chelsea and Man United are going to be interesting to see if Chelsea and Man United could offload any of these players, to be honest with you. I mean, 45 million from Monaco. And here we are, not 2 years later, and they're trying to get rid of him. They don't hang about, Chelsea.
No, they don't. I didn't know Wolves had such a crazy 80s period. Look at that. I didn't know that, Wolvesy.
Yeah, fantastic.
84 to 86, they got 3 straight relegations and then 2 back-to-back promotions, like a yo-yo, isn't it? Like a game of up and down stairs.
Yeah,
81 to 89, 8 years of ups and downs. Relegated or promoted every season. Wow.
Wolves were great in the 70s as well. They had a great team.
The 9th most successful football club in the last 75 years, I think.
Yeah, great club, really great history. But history comes and goes, and other clubs come into the fore. Where were Manchester City in the history books? 15, 20 years ago. They weren't anywhere near where they are now. So hopefully there'll be others coming through. What else you got there, Sean?
Galatasaray, mate. We're back to Turkey again. They've reached an agreement with Victor Osimhen over a 3+1 contract. I think they're trying to get him for 45 plus 5. I think I saw was the price that they want, but Napoli want more. And obviously, you've still got Saudi sniffing around. Saudi are happy to pay. I think it's Al Hilal are happy to pay the release fee of like 75 million. But the player doesn't want to go there. He wants to go back to Galatasaray. It's an interesting one, mate, because I just presumed that Osimhen would eventually find his way to the Premier League, but he seems to be happy in Turkey. So that's one of the we've been talking a lot about the supply and demand economics of strikers. This season, it seems to be there's a lot more supply than there usually is. But if he ends up going back to Galatasaray, first of all, I think he's giving up an opportunity to test himself at the highest game.
Why is he doing that, Sean? He's 26 years of age. I know he had all the racism, the racist chants in Italy, and he didn't feel that he was supported. But,
I'm actually, just quickly, so those that are listening to this, Foxy said this is the Turkey segment of the show. I think I'm going to create a little video where I can play a turkey walking across the the road.
Look, the guy, Europa League, 15 games, 10 goals, 3 assists. Champions League, 17 games, 9 goals, 1 assist. The Juniper Pro League, 12 goals. League 27 games, 13 goals, 5 assists. Superliga, 26 goals, 5 assists. Serie A, 65 goals, 16 assists. The guy's still only 26. He's a top striker. Why is no one coming in for him? Is it because he's a dickhead and he's trouble?
I don't know.
I can't think why. I can't think why, because the numbers that we're being quoted, 45, 50 million. Look, he's dropped. They wanted 100 million for him, Napoli, last summer, and 100 million euros, and no one came in with that number. And Galatasaray went there on loan. We had a fantastic season. Then Saudis offered 70 million, which Osman turned down. I think Napoli are within their rights to be charging that sort of money.
He's definitely 60. If Gyökeres is 70, for example, then I think this guy's probably 65 minimum. Like, because he's done it. He's done it at the highest level. He hasn't done it at the Premier League yet. I don't know why he doesn't want to come and try it. And I don't know. I don't know whether he's a quote unquote dickhead. I've got no idea. I don't even really know the context of what happened in Italy. Did he go off the boil? Is that when the racism thing started?
No, he sort of went. I think it was. He sort of went on strike because he didn't feel that the club had supported him. He was getting racist taunts every week, and he wanted support from the club, and he didn't feel like he got it. And then he threw his toys out at the pram. So I don't know.
Why were the fans just being racist regardless of his form, or was it because he wasn't playing well, or was it the away fans? Who was it? I don't know the story particularly well. So
all I know is I'd be taking a risk on a 45, 50. If I could get him for 50 million, right, I'd be taking a risk on him all day long, because what you know is a guy who wins 63% of his aerial challenges. He's dynamite in the air. He's a physical specimen. And he's a goal scorer. He's done it every single level. He's done it every single league. He's done it. And I can't see why he wouldn't do it in the Premier League. But listen, we're only YouTube and podcasters. We aren't agents. And so
what we are, though, is capable of asking for some favours, guys. Andrew Maiko is putting up a good point here. 118 likes from the 450 people that are now watching. Can we get that towards 200, guys? 50% ratio shouldn't be that difficult. It's a free thing to do. Just drum the thumb. See the thumb, smack it once. Very easy, and it's just it helps the channel out. So really appreciate you guys. By the way, smash the subscribe. If you are watching this and you'd like to participate in the chat, all you've got to do is just hit the subscribe button. Costs you nothing, and then you get instant access to come in and let us know who you are, where you're from, and who you support, alongside whatever else we're talking about. Really appreciate all the support there, guys. Johnny, let me ask you this, my man. With regards Andre Onana, apparently Chris Wheeler from the Mail is saying that he wants to stay at Manchester United. And apparently Ruben Amorim is satisfied with him, so he will likely remain. On that basis, if you've got a donut like him in goal, does that basically put paid to any real hopes of Manchester United getting right back up there amongst the kind of elite in the Premier League next season? For me, I think your goalkeeper is obviously the position that gets exposed, like a mistake from a goalkeeper, and it can be curtains at times. The best strikers in the world can miss 9 chances, score the 10th, win 1-0, and you're a hero, right? But a goalkeeper makes 9 saves, but lets one slip through his fingers, lose 1-0, and you're the villain. To me, Onana always has a mistake in him, always.
He's constantly making mistakes, and I think Ruben Amorim is towing the line there, because they've just told him, look, mate, we don't have as much money as we thought we were going to have, because Bruno Fernandes hasn't gone for 100 million. Jadon Sancho didn't go for 25 million. Therefore, we have to get rid of players. I think 100% he'd like to get rid of him and bring in like a Mike Maignan or Emi Martinez to the club. Look at the Champions League, the goal that wasn't, that Brennan Johnson supposedly scored. I mean, that was terrible goalkeeping, absolutely shambolic. And without that, Spurs wouldn't have lifted the trophy. It's as simple as that. I think he's a poor keeper, and there are a lot better keepers out there. And let's be honest, it's all very well buying Cunha and Buemo and all the rest of it, but if your defence is still based on Maguire and him in goal, then I think you got issues. Euro's a very good player. I like him, but I think they need strengthening at the back. Definitely, Man United.
I think I saw they were linked to Piero Hincapié as well the other day. But the problem is with Hincapié, he's a cracking player, but he's 5'11", right? Which isn't. I hear you. But it's not a problem if you're the only person that's that's defender that's short. If you've got two big ones next to you, but haven't United still got the other guy who's like 5'8", 5'9"? What's his name? Fernandez, not Fernandez. What's the Man United? Who?
Not Martinez.
Lisandro Martinez. That's it. Yeah, no, is it Lisandro? What's his? Hang on.
But the thing is, Sean, look, the thing is about Hincapié, Pierre-Emerick Hincapié is a top player. You know, he's a fantastic left centre back and equally good at left back. You know, I saw him play for Ecuador in the World Cup, in the last World Cup, and I was desperate for us to sign him, Lisandro Martinez. Yeah, but he went to Bayer Leverkusen, and he's done a very, very good job there. You know, part of the championship winning team. Good luck to him. I think he will leave Bayer Leverkusen. Because that whole squad has been ripped apart. It's whether or not Bayer Leverkusen will let him go, having let so many players go this season. They've been almost pillaged. I don't know. I can't see him go. They need defence. We all know it, and I think Man United fans know it.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. Sorry.
What else have you got there?
A couple of stories, mate. Got loads of stories. Never-ending list of stories, buddy.
I've got one more. It's just on Wolves. While we're on Wolves, ex-Wolves boss Gary O'Neill is the front runner now to become the new Leeds head coach after Ruud van Nistelrooy's disastrous tenure at the club. Wow. I mean, they have interviewed Chris Wilder and Sean Dyche.
Right.
Sean
Dyche is just the Ange Postecoglou of English football. They're all basically the same, aren't they?
I love it.
But one of them says, mate.
Yeah, mate. Gary O'Neill, tactically, very good boss. But maybe he's learned some lessons from Wolves because he did some really good things. And then he became a little bit set in his ways towards the end there. But I do believe he is a good manager. He's definitely a better manager than Ruud van Nistelrooy, so it'd be interesting to see. Or do you think they'll go for tried and tested Sean Dyche, who's nothing glamorous, gets the job done?
But, I like him.
I know, but when you look at what's happened with Everton, as soon as he left, David Moyes, big uplift. Yeah, he's wrong. He's not 5'11", Hincapié. This and that. I didn't think he was. I thought he was 6 foot anyway. But anyway,
I heard someone on TalkSport saying he's another small centre back.
You can't believe that TalkSport nonsense.
Oh, okay.
Can't believe them. Ange for Leicester.
What's that? Sorry,
Ange for Leicester.
That'd be interesting.
We're hearing in the chat. Johnny, why is Southgate not in managing football? Well, because he's only had really one job, and that was Middlesbrough in league football, and he got them relegated. I never know how he made it to the England job, but Sir Gareth of Southgate, he managed to convince a nation that he was brilliant. I had mixed feelings about him. Yeah, Fabio Cannavaro was 5'9".
I'm not saying that it's impossible. Like it's an impossibility. Like Mike Tyson was. What was he? Mike Tyson was 5'10" as a heavyweight and beat up 6'5" guys. So it's not impossible, but it helps if you're a centre back and you're above 6 foot.
I must break it to the chat. Actually, I've got to speak to Sean about it, but Sean actually is a heightist.
Mate, I get accused of this all the time on Spurs Talk.
If you're below 5'8", you've had it. Honestly.
The amount of people who meet me at Tottenham and then put a comment in afterwards going, I met Sean the other day at the Tottenham Leicester game. He's taller than you, imagine. I'm like, why do people think I'm small? I'm only talking about players of height because I think that Tottenham at the time had an unhelpfully small average size. Because we were getting buried and beaten up in the corners and the set pieces, which, by the way, I think that Tottenham are going to very much improve on next season. All the players that we are linked with right now, in defenders, in sixes, even in the forward line, they seem to be players that are very, very good with aerial prowess. And so I think that Thomas Frank has looked at Tottenham and thought, this is presuming that there's any truth to these rumours, but I think that he's thinking, if we're looking for margins, looking for ways to kind of just move the needle gently here and there, being better with set pieces defensively and offensively is a method to doing that. And so I think you'll see a very big effort, a big focus from the Tottenham coaching staff to get us a bit more like Arsenal, I guess, in the way of nicking goals from corners and things. Jonny, I wanted to ask you
I just want to get to the chat here from AI. This is I can't take all the compliments, right, to be honest with you, but thanks very much. Jonny is dyslexic. He thinks Leeds are Leicester now and doubles down for Leicester, or is it Leeds? No, I was saying, can you imagine Anne going for the Leicester job? We listed all the others. Talking about jobs, is Spurs' old boss now in a bit of trouble? Pochettino losing the final of the Concave Gold Cup.
Yeah. How many finals has he lost now?
Oh, man, he just loses a final. He just can't seem to win.
He hasn't done very well since he's got into international football, has he?
He hasn't. He's got finalitis
a little bit.
He's got finalitis, hasn't he? Right? He can't finish his dinner. I don't know how many finals or semis he's had.
Is it only 2 finals? Is it only 2 finals? There you go.
2 finals. Is it really 2 finals? Is it?
I thought it was more than that, but if it's only 2, then fair enough.
More than 2 finals.
Yeah.
Or is it a semi? Are we talking of semis?
Maybe semis as well.
Check out
is he a big game manager, I guess, is the question.
Yeah.
You know?
But, you know, losing to Raul Jimenez scored the first goal and Alvarez scored the second. And Richards of Crystal Palace scored the opening goal for them. They took the lead. But let's see what happens.
USA have got a really good team. I think
they're really good, but I would say they should be doing better than they are currently. Probably.
They've got one of the best left backs in the world. They got one of the best, I think, the most emerging right wingers in the game. They've got. Oh, wait a minute! Is the Bayern Munich left back Canadian or is he American?
Who are you talking about? He's got off on a tangent and he's got to try and bring it back.
I know. Reel it in. The left back for Bayern Munich is Alphonso Davies. Is he American or is he Canadian? Isn't he?
Canadian, yeah.
Showing my ignorance. Good
player, Alphonso Davies.
He's very good. Very good. Yeah, very good. Look, the Daniel Field. This is. I've seen something here that Sava does all the time. The sticker train, he calls it. And I think Sava's very smart. He goes, "There's 509 people in the house. If everybody stuck in £1.49, we'd make 750 quid." Just saying. That's what. This is what Sava says every day, and he starts a sticker train. Thank you very much for the super sticker, Daniel. Appreciate you, mate. Very nice, everybody. Very nice.
If you're in here for the first time, guys, please let us know what club you support and where you're based. And if you are here for the first time, please hit that subscribe button and it will tell you when we're on. And if you want to chat and you can't get in the chat, that's because you haven't hit the subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything, guys.
And you get instant access. Jonny, big story breaking out of someone called... Thir Fernandez. I don't know who he is. He's obviously a Spanish journalist, I think, or Brazilian journalist. He's saying Manchester United, Inter and Juve have all contacted the entourage of Ederson about a potential transfer. Atalanta is demanding 60 millones euros. Would you, Ederson...
All day long, mate. All day long.
All day long and twice on a Monday.
Fantastic player. I actually said in January that I'd like him to come to Spurs, and we're speaking to an agent, and he just laughed at me. I said, "What are you laughing at?" He said, "You're Spurs. He ain't coming to Spurs." It's just
he'll never come to Spurs.
No, not a chance. No, not a chance. He'll be going to one of the big clubs, and he is. I'm surprised he didn't go earlier. Brilliant Brazilian, Ederson. And I think he'd be a massive and a fantastic addition to any club that signs him. I really do. I don't think 60 million is too much. The problem
is 60 million though, mate, isn't it? It's like no one gets out of bed for less than 59. No, If I don't sell him for 60 million plus, he's basically an average footballer because that's what 60 million is now. 60 million is the benchmark. You're either above the 60 threshold or you're below it.
Does that mean we can sell? Does that mean Spurs can sell Brennan Johnson for 60 million and get our money?
Right. If you can't, then he's not a good player, right? I think that's the line of this. It's like the sprinters at the Olympics, right? If you're a sub 10-second sprinter, then you're a decent sprinter. If you can't break 10 seconds in the 100 meters, you're washed. No one wants to talk about you. But get to the 9-something, even if it's 9.99, then you cut it as a serious sprinter. And I think 60 million seems to be this year's 10-second barrier.
But then again, you look at a player like Scalvini, who's 21 years of age, an Italian centre-back, international centre-back, available for only around £30 million or 30 million euros. Absolutely bang.
He's injured, though, mate. He's had a horror show with his injuries.
Yeah, I know, but you maybe take out some insurance. Listen, Delap was probably go out to be, the best buy maybe of the summer. One of them. Listen, I would sell Richie, mate. I would sell Eugene. I would sell Richie, but we wouldn't get 60 million. Be lucky to get 30. You wouldn't
lucky to get 30.
They're going to get 60 million for a guy that's has hardly kicked to football. So let's see what happens there.
Looks like Elanga's definitely leaving Forest. Like they're still haggling over the price, but I think that's a done deal, isn't it, mate? Basically, Newcastle are waiting for their guy.
So it's an interesting thing. So he hasn't turned up at pre-season training, Anthony Elanga. But one player who has turned up at pre-season training is Mohamed Kudus.
Yeah. Yep. And not just him. Another one who has is, even though he was told he didn't have to, and that's Marcus Rashford. Yeah. It's okay, Marcus. You can stay away. Go to Barcelona. See if you can find your own new home. No, I'm coming in.
I'm coming in. You can't make me. I live it. I work here. Go and sit in the canteen. Oh, no, we can't. We close the canteen.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Very, very, very interesting. We've got a couple more stories for you, mate. So done the Edison one, done the Dizazi one. Manchester United apparently have found out that they're looking at Christopher Nkunku. He's going to have to go at some point. Chelsea, if Chelsea can get rid of these players. Oh, there's another one I wanted to, because I know I said Chelsea's name. It reminds me. Koulibaly.
Koulibaly.
Koulibaly, he was Chelsea player, went out to South. He was the first player to leave when Bowley started wanting to kick players out. But I remember when Bowley first, I remember this story. I don't know if it was if this is true or not, but I'm not making it up. I heard that when I think it was Graham Potter was in charge, and Graham Potter was having a chat with his assistant manager, in the dressing room or in the training ground or whatever, and Todd Bowley walked past and he overheard Graham Potter saying to his assistant manager, "Call that Koulibaly's a bit all right, and he's a really good player." 2 days later, Todd Bowley goes, "I've got a gift for you. Koulibaly's coming in."
I know you're joking.
A year later, he's back out the door because he's a complete bozo. Although the one thing that Koulibaly did do that's memorable in the Premier League was that rocket of a goal against Tottenham Hotspur. Dr. Tottenham, we always give good memories to everybody else.
Koulibaly, right? He loved his Scotch eggs, but he ended up on the Judi Dench, didn't he? Permanently.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Permanently. I don't think I don't know where did he go?
I saw it, and I've got it in my list here. Here we go. This is why I couldn't find it. It's over here. Koulibaly is now going to. Where's my list? Koulibaly is going to.
Chelsea. A comment in the chat. Chelsea have an Argos catalogue of players. You can pick and choose. They're in a holding pen, and some are in France, some are here. They just bring them in. Some are still out in South America. He
left Saudi and went to. Sorry, he went from Chelsea to Saudi. He went to Al Hilal, and then he went to BVB. And then after that, he's now leaving today. 2 hours ago, he's leaving, and he's joining Strasbourg, who aren't Strasbourg Chelsea's club.
Yeah, I'm sure they are, aren't they? Isn't that?
I'm sure Strasbourg's owned by Todd Bowley, isn't he?
Yeah.
Is he not? I think he is, right?
Look deeper, right? He's gone to Strasbourg because there's plenty more lemon curds there than there are where he can do. I mean, honestly,
what's going on there? He left Chelsea, went to Al Hilal, a little bit of back scratching. He then comes back into Germany, and now he's going back to one of Bowley's clubs again. Are you having a fucking
that's where he stores them.
On?
Listen, he has to store them somewhere. Look how many players in Strasbourg being stored for Chelsea currently. Right,
a big yellow storage for Chelsea players.
My big yellow warehouse is actually Strasbourg.
Yeah. 100%, Sean. Scratchy. To go to Chelsea next season.
It's absolutely Patrick Swayze. All of this, honestly, I don't know how to get away with it. I don't know how to get.
Absolutely madness, mate. Absolute madness. Any other stories? Kanaloglu, he's going back to Turkey as well, isn't he?
Yeah, everyone's going to Turkey. People have stopped going out there to get their hair and teeth done, but
people are going to have to start wearing gum shields, mate. When they come back to the Premier League 2 years later after the money laundering cycle, they're all going to come back with different haircuts of gum shields to protect themselves from a flying elbow.
I got a late development. Crystal Palace are leading the race to sign free agent right back David Calabria. All right, Calabria deal at AC Milan ran out last month after he spent the season on loan at Bologna. Palace faced competition from Spanish clubs Celta Vigo and Real Betis for the 28-year-old. Calabria made 27 appearances last season for Bologna in all competitions, and he has 7 caps for Italy, the last coming in 2022. What's interesting is that Glasner identified Lacroix from Wolfsburg. He was the one who identified him and got rid of him. And he probably has identified David Calabria. The other player that Crystal Palace have been linked with, another late development, is Crystal Palace target Borna Sosa from Stuttgart, who's in the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
I think
great player.
Yeah. I think Crystal Palace are maybe holding on.
Does that mean that the Diamandi deal's off then? If they're getting Sosa?
No, I think all of the deals are on, Sean. I think that in their heart of hearts, they know that Gay's going and Eze's going. How much does that bring them in, Sean? 130, 140 million pound potentially.
Yeah.
Right. So are they spending that money now? 20 million here, 30 million there, and Diamandi. Makes sense.
I'll tell you what's another interesting story. And by the way, I can see in the chat, people are saying I got the wrong Koulibaly. If I have, then different guide Nikos is saying different Koulibalys. Oh, fair enough. No, I thought it was the same Koulibaly. They look very similar, and they obviously have the same name. So,
in fairness to Sean, there are 16 Koulibalys apparently plying their trade. It's quite a common name, not in Dagenham, but it's quite a common name, quite a common African name. Just to let you know, guys, if you're in the chat and you haven't hit that like button, or you're listening on audio, please hit the like button or hit the rating button. Scroll down on the audio app, and you'll see the 5-star rating. And if you're here on YouTube and you haven't checked out the Apple app yet, you can find us on that. Just hit a follow button on that for us as well. That all helps. Thanks very much.
Got another story for you, mate, that's breaking in the last few minutes on my transfer news here. Real Madrid have received, this is according to El Chiringuito TV, but they've got 3.4 million followers. I don't know, that must be a Spanish channel. Real Madrid have received 10 offers for Gonzalo Garcia. Offers from the Premier League, Italy, and half of Spain have all come in for the striker, who has lit up the World Cup. Yeah. He's played 5 games in the World Cup, in the Club World Cup, and got 4 goals and 1 assist.
Yeah,
21 years old. He's a striker. In La Liga, he's barely played. Right, 3 games. He's played 50 minutes of football. He's obviously a kid, and got an assist. In Primera Federación Group 2 or whatever that, I think that must be like the second, like the league where the Real Madrid B team play or whatever. 36 games played. 25 goals and 4 assists, so 30 GA in 36. Basically, in his very short career, he's got 36 GA, in 45 games, which is only 3,600 minutes of football. 36 goals in 3,600 minutes. It's essentially a goal every game, a goal every 100 minutes of football.
Let me tell you something.
Wow.
You mentioned short again, Sean. You got to stop this. I think I've seen him play.
182, so he's 5'11", just in case we were wondering.
Yeah, no, he's been fantastic. The way he took a couple of the goals in this tournament have been fantastic. He really has lit it up. And when you think he's going to play second fiddle to Mbappe, but he's been at Real Madrid all his life. I can't see, having spent all that time coming through, a new manager, will he really leave? I can't say. What happens if he gives you different options? One of the ways he finished the ball, he's like a fox in the box. He's reading of the game, and being in the right place at the right time has been uncanny. I think he's looked really, really impressive in this World Club Cup, and be interesting to see how he gets on against PSG in the week. How much did they say, Sean? They're looking at?
It didn't say on the thing. It just said they received 10 offers.
I bet they
Spain, Premier League, Italy. Everyone wants a piece of this guy.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because he's looked super impressive, but I can't see why they get rid of him. And that's 4 goals and 1 assist with Mbappe in the squad. So why would you get rid of him? There's no reason. It's a long season, injuries. He's a fantastic squad player to have. He'll have plenty of time to leave if so wishes. The one player who, is positioning himself to try and get out the club, Rodrigo, still no takers, Sean.
Yeah, he's above the 60 million threshold, mate. So he's a very good player. I think that I think he'll end up leaving, but if he doesn't go to Arsenal, in the Premier League, I mean, does Italy have enough money for it? I don't think so. He's not going to go to Saudi. I'd hope he doesn't go to Saudi. He's far too good to go there at this stage of his career. But where else does he go? I mean, he's not going to go to Chelsea. They've just bought
Premier League, mate. He's not. Listen, if he ends up in Turkey, questions will be asked, right?
Is he going to go? He's not going to go to City, is he? Or is he? I don't think so.
Why not? Why wouldn't he go to City? I mean, like he would.
As a replacement for Jack Grealish. In fact, there's no news about Jack Grealish either, is there?
Yeah. Listen, look, it's an interesting thing right now because you've got Callum Muani, who is at Juventus, but they really want him. But they can't afford the 85 million price tag that PSG have put on him. And therefore, he's likely to go back. I can't see them allowing another loan to potentially devalue Muani. And at the same time,
this is the story. We've completely forgot this one. Bayern Munich have apparently put in a real effort now. They want it because obviously what's happened with Musiala, and they've sold obviously Sane and yada yada yada. They're looking at left winger. They want to come in and get Luiz Diaz. They don't want Marcus Rashford. They want to get Luiz Diaz.
Diaz is going nowhere now. Absolutely guaranteed. I cannot see him going. So yeah, maybe Rodrigo
to Bayern Munich makes sense then. Because he does. I could see him as a City player for what it's worth. But then City have already got Doku out there, and I guess at the moment, who's the second? Jeremy Doku and Jack Grealish. They're the 2 left wingers, aren't they, for City?
Grealish out on loan. No one's going to pay the money. Rodrigo on another level. I think, for me, he's Man City or Bayern. I forgot Bayern, they'll have the money for him. As I said, they had set aside a large amount of cash for Florian Wirtz, and they were shocked that he hasn't gone for him. They chose to go to Liverpool instead of going to them. So I think Rodrigo, Man City or Bayern. If I was him, I think Man City probably more dynamic for him. I think he'd get more game time and he would 100% be perfect for the City system. Don't you think? I think he'd be perfect.
No, yeah. It didn't cross my mind until just sort of thinking about it, and now it makes a lot of sense.
But PSG can't rule out Dope as saying, PSG, you can't rule out them. But as I was saying there, It would depend what happens with Kolo Muani. If they can get rid of Kolo Muani, there were rumours Chelsea were into him. There were other clubs into him, but it's a massive, massive fee. So I'm not sure. But those two players are two players that really could light up any club. I think there could be something happening with one or both of those players.
Just for the Tottenham fans that are watching this, Thomas Frank's coaching staff in full: Justin Cochran, first team assistant coach, Chris.
It's a lineup for you listening on audio. It's like a police lineup.
Matty Wells has made his first team assistant coach, Cameron Campbell, individual development coach, Fabian Otte, first team goalkeeping coach, Joe Newton, Andreas Georgeson, and Chris Haslam, who are all coaching staff or analysts. And obviously you got Johan Lang there, mate. Johan Lang, he's obviously not going anywhere, is he?
In a white shirt. I've got to say to you, though, the one thing that Spurs fans were all excited about, finally we'll have set piece. We'll have a set piece coach. Their set pieces were fantastic, forgetting that the only person that didn't leave Brentford to come to Spurs was Brentford's set piece coach, who is, he was the manager. He's now the manager. We need a medical team. I'm sure if you go on LinkedIn now and you do have maybe a vet's license or something, you could probably get a job down at Spurs right now.
If you have been at Fitness First for more than 24 months and you do have your PT qualifications, see if you can retrain as a first team medic for Tottenham Hotspur, and you'll probably get the job. And you'll probably do a better job as well.
They're definitely doing the extension at the medical centre, but we need that ASAP now because I don't think any club can afford to have the injuries that Spurs had. And let's be honest, quite a few of the clubs had them. Arsenal had them, cost them towards the end of the season. Some were much worse than others, Brentford being one of them. So I
almost feel like with the amount of games that players are being asked to play, I'm not sure if this would I think this would probably suit wealthier teams more than the poorer teams or whatever, but I almost think that there should be a little bit more, there should be a rule embedded whereby if you have a certain amount of injuries during the season, during a non-transfer period, if you have 10 or more first team squad members out at the same time for an extended period of time or whatever, there should be some dispensation where you can loan a player for short until the next transfer window and pay some sort of
and guess which club would exploit that?
They'd be faking injuries, wouldn't they, to be able to do it?
Chelsea and Villa I would put up as our candidates. 13 have gone down injured in the last 4 weeks. Right.
Yeah. Still want to get to the bottom of old asthma gate at Liverpool, I can run an extra 2 miles. Oh, he's gone. Is he gone or is he just putting me on? He's getting me clip ready. I don't know where he's gone. I think he disappeared. This has now become a regular thing. We've got the Turkey segment of the show, and we've got the segment of the show where Johnny presses a button and his computer turns off or his screen goes. Happens every single show, Johnny. What's he up to? What's he done? He's back. Every show. The Johnny Goes Missing part of the show has just been completed, ladies and gentlemen.
I just don't know what. I don't know what happens. I seem to say there's a magic word that someone in the Wi-Fi world doesn't like, and it just triggers me to suddenly disappear. But like David Blaine, I always manage to come back. If you're in the chat, guys, give us I think it could be Turkey. I think it's Turkish.
They're listening. They are 100% listening.
Turkish hackers. We got Turkish hackers on our back, Sean. It's your fault because you keep calling them as it's a conspiracy. And it is a Macintosh. It's actually a MacBook Pro. But it does seem to go down at strange times. Is there anything else before we go, Sean?
I think we're basically done, mate. So we'll round off and we'll see you guys tomorrow. If you are a Tottenham fan and you want to sort of listen to some Tottenham content later on this evening, I'll be going live probably, or hopefully, but late, probably about 10:30, 11 o'clock, something for an hour. So I've got to squeeze out a quick update now. But we'll see you tomorrow, guys. Please smash the like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. make sure the buttons are all pushed and the comments are done. And if you are watching or listening or watching on audio, all the links are in the description. If you do go and check that stuff out, please find the time to leave us a rating and follow us over there as well. Jonny, thanks so much, mate. Thank you to the super chats as well. Thank you to Daniel Field. Failed attempt to start a super sticker train, but we'll try that again tomorrow. Appreciate you very much. Appreciate you playing.
The train, guys. Come on. Daniel starts the train. You know how it goes at parties. One person starts the train and you all have to follow. Well, you don't have to, but it would be yeah.
Thank you very much, Feral Ferret, as well. Jonny, we'll leave it there, mate. It's goodbye from this guy.
It's goodbye from him.
Oh, you've done it again, Jonny. Come on, for the love of God.
For the love of God. It's goodbye from him.
See you later, guys.
See you tomorrow, guys.
Bye-bye.